If you call yourself an action fan but haven't heard of Scott Adkins, then I truly pity you because the man has quietly become one of the most bankable action stars in the direct-to-video market. The fact that he's been grinding for over 20 years and still hasn't been given a lead role in a mainstream Hollywood production is, frankly, a miscarriage of justice. If you're craving something closer to those kick-ass actioners of the 80s and 90s minus the overproduced flair of a modern Hollywood snore, then here are 5 Scott Adkins movies to get yourself started. Accident Man. Adkins plays an assassin who specializes in disguising his kills as accidents, and he's a regular at a pub that hosts an assortment of misfits who also specialize in different methods of assassination. He learns that his ex-girlfriend has been murdered in a botched burglary and that she was pregnant with his child, so after stealing a copy of the police report and deducing that a pair of fellow killers were behind the murder, he sets out for answers and bloody vengeance. Based on a British comic strip from the 1980s, Accident Man is the perfect gateway to Scott Adkins' filmography. It's got a sound story, even pacing, some ridiculously awesome action that showcases Adkins' martial arts ability, and stellar acting from a criminally underrated ensemble cast. Alongside Adkins, you've also got Michael Jai White, Ray Park, Amy Johnston, and the late Ray Stevenson. The movie's currently available for streaming on Tubi, so if you don't mind watching the occasional run of ads, I can't recommend it highly enough. Avengement. This one sees Adkins as a prisoner who's escorted to a London hospital to see his late mother, during which he escapes and enters a private bar owned by his gangster brother. Adkins' character is seeking revenge against his brother for something which is revealed over the course of the movie, as much of the narrative is revealed through flashbacks and narration. Alongside the twisty-turny narrative, which I don't want to spoil an ounce of because it's best experienced cold, Avengement features a breakneck pace, bone-crunching fight scenes, and one of the finest performances of Adkins' career. I'll continue reiterating this point. The fact that Hollywood continues to sleep on him as an action star is a crime against humanity. It's currently available for streaming on Netflix and Prime Video and is well worth the watch. Ninja Shadow of a Tear. Adkins plays an American who runs a Koga-ryu dojo in Japan. After fending off a pair of muggers who somehow managed to snag his wallet, he races home only to find his pregnant wife murdered. On the advice of a former student of the dojo's, he heads down to Bangkok to train and grieve, only to learn that one of the largest drug cartels in Myanmar is directly connected to his beloved's death. This is a sequel to a movie simply titled Ninja, but Adkins and director Isaac Florentine weren't fully satisfied with how the first movie turned out, so Shadow of a Tear is their attempt to rectify their dissatisfaction. Now, you don't need to see the first Ninja for Shadow of a Tear to make sense. While I do enjoy the first Ninja, you can get by with just seeing Shadow of a Tear, as it's more representative of the 80s ninja films that Florentine and Adkins are paying homage to. The story may be simplistic, but the fights are phenomenal and the pacing is perfectly even, plus the movie prominently features Kane Koski. Now, you fans of 80s ninja films are already losing your shit knowing who Kane's legendary father happens to be. Both movies are streaming on Prime Video for free with ads and are well worth the sit. One Shot. Adkins plays a Navy SEAL lieutenant whose team is tasked with transporting a CIA operative and a high-value prisoner from a black site prison, but they barely get time to click their heels before the place is overrun by an army of cranky insurgents. This one is perhaps the most experimental on the list. For this one, Adkins and director James Nunn set out to make an action film that's shot, or at least made to look like it was shot, in one continuous take. Think Birdman or 1917 with a substantially smaller budget. This might not work for everyone, but I happen to have an immense appreciation for the amount of time and energy that goes into staging and executing long takes, let alone making an entire movie around the concept. The execution may not be perfect, but One Shot is still one of the more thrilling experiences of Adkins' filmography, aided in no small part to how grounded the action feels to fit the one-take gimmick. Adkins may not be doing his usual assortment of Taekwondo kicks, but that doesn't make the action less fun to watch. The only streamers hosting it for free at present are Redbox and Crackle, but it's worth the sit if you've got an account. Triple Threat. Triple Threat follows 2 Special Forces soldiers turned mercenaries recruited for a humanitarian mission, only to learn too late that the real objective of the mission is to free a British terrorist played by Adkins. What follows can only accurately be summarized as The Expendables with 1/10 the budget. The Expendables with a who's who of martial arts movie icons including Tony Jaa, Michael J. White, Iko Uwais, and Tiger Chen. If you felt completely burned by the absolute letdown that was Expendables 4, Triple Threat may scratch your ensemble action itch, and it's currently free on Tubi. At worst, you'll lose 96 minutes of your life watching martial artists doing martial arts. At least you won't be losing $20-odd at the theater to be disappointed for 100 minutes.